Today on r/today I effed up. Today I effed up and lost my best friend of over 11 years. Well, not today exactly, it was actually 11 months ago now, but boy howdy is it hitting me hard lately. We used to talk almost every day, voice calls for the entire evening, and playing games until the wee hours of the morning. We met back in 2012, playing World of Warcraft, and basically lived out our 20s as best friends. I don't know that I trusted any non-family member as much as I trust that guy. I still see him as a little brother. This only amounts to making it hurt all the more due to the loss. We'll call him C. C actually, back in 2013, introduced me to my now wife, D. At one point they had a thing, but it didn't work out. D and I continued talking for years when back in 2017, we decided to actually seriously date, and got married in 2018. C. We were going to play Baldur's Gate 3 last year, and C. created a character that had D's name. This was a bit of a shock to me, and made me feel uncomfortable. I didn't really know how to handle the situation, so I tried to ask him about it. He explained that the character had been a character he used many times in D&D campaigns, and that the name was actually quite common, and even recommended in various lists of names for that race. I was a total jerk, didn't listen, and immediately got defensive. He as well got defensive, but I feel like his defensiveness was infinitely more reasonable. This resulted in roughly a 2 to 3 hour argument. One of the final things he said to me, "We can't be friends if you don't think I trust you and your wife." To which, in my complete and total a-hole nature, said, "I don't know how you regard us. That's up to you." I initially thought this entire exchange would be written off, and it wasn't until days later I realized that I had done something highly disrespectful, rude, and hurtful. Those words have since been burned into my head. 11 months go by. I've tried to make new gaming buddies, but it just hasn't been the same. C and I liked basically all the same genres, save for a few. We were almost always ready and excited to play the same games. We had the same humor, and laughed at almost all the same things. Haven't found that connection again, fairly certain it's cause we partially grew up together. When we first met, C was still in high school, now he's graduated college, and we're both working full-time jobs. And it just sucks. I ruined such a critical and important friendship in my life because I wanted to be a pompous a-hole, excuse the language. I found myself thinking about C a lot these last few weeks as we're nearing a year since we last spoke. I'm pretty sure he's blocked me on almost every platform. I tried to reach out via Discord since it still shows us as friends there. I tried to apologize, but I can only assume he hasn't read it. Or maybe he hasn't want to read it, to be fair. As we near the anniversary of losing my best friend, I can't help but find depression sinking in, and reminiscing about the good times. And at the end of it all, I really just wish I could apologize to him. I could understand not being friends again, I could understand not even talking again, but dang, I wish I could just tell C how sorry I am. I really needed to get this off my chest, as it has been breaking me. Especially these last 2 weeks. Especially since last week was his birthday. I appreciate all of your time. Please be good to your friends, especially if they've been good to you. Give them the benefit of the doubt, hear them out, trust them, give them your faith. It's so hard to replace quality friendships as an adult, especially in today's geopolitical climate. For our next story. Today, I effed up by eating pizza. This happened a couple nights ago and I still can't get over the shame and embarrassment I feel. A 23 female invited a guy, 24 male, over to my place in hopes of getting some intimate time with him. We have been friends for years, and I've always had a crush on him. Things were going well because I worked up the courage to kiss him a few weeks ago. He seemed happy about it. A couple hours before he came over, my roommate and I ordered pizza. Something about the smell seemed off. I didn't eat much of it, but I chalked it up to just being nervous about my crush coming over. Then, I meticulously tidied up my entire house. My roommate was excited for me, so she helped me out. I spent an hour getting ready. I want to be smooth, fresh, clean, and beautiful for this man. I felt like a goddess. I was going to wow him off his feet. He comes over and everything is great. We are watching a game and cuddling. I was in heaven. Over the moon. This is what I had been waiting for. We had a couple drinks. We enjoy our time together for about an hour, and then something terrible happens. I make a break for the restroom. I barely make it as I empty the contents of my stomach into the toilet. However, my body didn't just stop at what was in my stomach. I couldn't stop dry heaving. It's loud. My roommate later told me she could hear me throwing up from her closed room, across the hallway, and with headphones on. This goes on for 20 minutes, and I think I'm going to die. This is it for me. I hear a knock on the restroom door. He came to check on me, asking if everything was okay. I quickly reply with, "Yes, I'll be right out, I'm sorry." I spend another 10 minutes in the restroom, willing my dizziness to go away. I come back out and everything was fine for a little bit. I apologize and we resume cuddling. I can tell he's worried about me. I sipped on some water. All I could think about was how terrible I felt in that moment. He wears this cologne and I normally love how it smells. However, in my food poisoning-induced crisis I couldn't stand it. Every inhale was a war inside of my body. After about 10 minutes I run to the restroom again and start to dry heave. That water I drank? All gone. My stomach is purging the devil from inside my body. Everything burns. Everything aches. All I can do is rest my head on the toilet seat and close my eyes. He comes to check on me again after about 25 minutes. He's getting really worried about me. My roommate knocks on the door now too. She's worried about me. I eventually come out and I apologize again. It's getting late at this point and he suggests that I just lay down and rest. He says he will go so I can just get better. I apologize and we have a small conversation before he leaves. I feel better but my head is spinning. He goes and I'm left with a literal and metaphorical pit in my stomach. I effing blew it. I'm never going to recover from this embarrassment. My chances of romance are gone. I feel terrible I made him wait for nearly an hour as I was sick. He messaged me that he got home safely. The rest of the night was awful. I wake up in the morning and my roommate had food poisoning too. We determined that it was from the pizza. I have no idea what to do next. I know he will still be my friend, but I'm afraid my chances of courting this man have died along with my pride. He's been nice to me so far over messages, but I haven't seen him since. Let's dive into our next story. Today I effed up when bedtime doesn't go according to plan. Tonight I may have messed up in the best way possible, but only time will tell. My daughter, for Leah, I was putting her to bed. Me and my wife, one of us stays with her as she falls asleep. A little background: I work in a science field, mainly radio and electronics. Tonight, there was a thunderstorm. It was massive, and we could see the light as it struck through the window blinds. Leah was definitely not scared, but she commented on how white it was from the flash. Me being me, I explained to her that in fact lighting was purple. Her favorite color is purple, which opened the floodgates to her not sleeping. After explaining why it was purple, the topic shifted to the color and radio frequency spectrum. As a bedtime story, do not recommend unless you know how to shorten it a lot. After she wanted another story, and well, I was on a roll and explained how water was formed, why the planets formed from gas, how Titan is ultra-smelly gas that comes from a butt, and went on and on. Now instead of sleeping, it's non-stop questions on how the planets exist and why there is dirt and rock. Secretly, I hope she keeps wondering and asking questions, and for my wife to not find out we're not going to bed but talking about the galaxy. Our last story for today. Today I effed up by telling the most important person in the world to me a white lie over 2 years ago. So I, late 20s male, may have ruined the best thing in my life because I told my partner, early 30s female, a white lie when we first started dating. So a year or so before my partner and I started dating, I was casually dating people as many do in their mid-20s. Eventually I met a girl, 25 female, that I dated for 2.5 to 3 months. I say dated because we actually only went on dates for about a month, and the rest of the time was 25 female canceling plans or straight up standing me up. For some additional context, a year prior to that, I had gotten out of a very bad relationship that resulted in me moving in with my parents for about 10 months. My parents hated the person who I had ended that relationship with, and I was trying to build back up the relationship between me and my parents from that time. When 25 female came into the picture, my parents went crazy for her and loved her, and I felt like I owed it to them to keep someone around that they would love. When 25 female began to cancel plans on me and stand me up on dates, I had to constantly make excuses as to my parents as to why she was not there or why she stood me up. To the point where I would pretend to go on dates and just go do things alone to make it seem like everything was fine because my parents were getting too involved, and I just didn't want to talk to them about the situation because I was embarrassed and didn't want to let them down. After around 3 months, I ended things with 25 female because it was causing me more harm than good, and I was tired of feeling played. 25 female tried to keep me around for a little while longer, but I didn't want that kind of toxicity around anymore, so there was a hard cutoff and I left it in the past, kinda deciding that it was too short of a time and too crazy to really dwell on anymore. Jump forward about a year and I meet my current partner, early 30s female, and I became crazy about her. I was starting over with a new life, new home, and new job, and she came in at the perfect time. But we both had some baggage from past trauma, but hers was much worse than mine. She was from another country that had experienced a war when she was a child, and some other things happened at that time that really affected her. I was also only her second boyfriend ever, and I was a little concerned that she would feel upset over the dating I had done in my past. I had told her about the big relationships from before, but didn't really talk about people I dated for shorter amount of time because it just didn't seem like it was necessary. The past was in the past and they didn't really affect my life now. We are on one of our early dates, about 2.5 years ago, when 25 female calls me out of the blue while my phone was sitting on the table. I was surprised but just said to my partner, "Oh, it's a friend, I will deal with it later." And by dealing with it, I meant telling 25 female that I'm in a relationship and to not call anymore. I had mentioned 25 female briefly to my partner in the past, but never really said her name. I tell 25 female I'm in a relationship and I'm not interested, and I learned that she had moved far away, so I figure, great, problem solved, life can continue. That was the moment that I wish I would have done differently now. Jump to this morning, my partner finds my old Facebook profile that I hadn't logged into since before I'd ever met my partner, and finds a picture I posted of 25 female from 3 years ago, and is able to find her name through that picture. That is when she realizes that she was the person who called me unexpectedly on our date years ago, and now hates me for lying to her about what happened that day. She now thinks I was hiding all of this contact that I was having with 25 female while we were starting our relationship, and is mad that I just referred to her as a friend that called. She is so hurt and I feel so awful, and I genuinely think I may have ruined the best thing to ever happen to me because I thought I was avoiding drama years ago. I feel so awful and like a horrible person. Learn from me, just be honest with partners, even if you think it's not a big deal, to them it might be. I am writing this now and in the aftermath of it all. And those are all the stories we have for today. See you tomorrow.